In this section, we're going to discuss the spoiler program and how to operate the spoiler program for both the TD1760, like we have demonstrated here, as well as the 8-sensor system, the TD2200. Really, the only difference in the spoiler program between the two is in the stub shaft system on the heads. On the 1760, it has a fixed stub shaft that slides into the wheel clamp and you lock it down with a nut. So in order to change any angle or inclination on the head, like you would during the spoiler program, tilting them down, you have to loosen the wheel clamp knob. On the 2200 8-sensor machine, it has an encoder built into the sensor head, so that once you slide the stub shaft into the wheel clamp, you lock it down and you keep it locked through the entire alignment process. If you're ever prompted to change the inclination, either in the leveling or in the spoiler program, then you would loosen off the knob at the front of the sensor head so that it loosens off the lock for the stub shaft and the encoder can sense rotation of that sensor head. So the stub shaft will always stay locked on the 2200 and you use the front knob. On the 1760, you just simply use the stub shaft lock on the wheel clamp. Okay? So, we've chosen the vehicle here, 1760 6-sensor machine. It's a Ferrari 308 GTBI. It's got a really low front end. It's got a really low spoiler. So, take a look at our Ferrari here. Take a look at our nice carbon fiber spoiler here. And you'll notice that our spoiler is blocking both of our beams from our front sensor heads that determine individual and total toe. Since this is a 6-sensor machine, it is going to require you to perform the spoiler program in order for it to peek underneath that spoiler and take a reference snapshot of the toe values. Once it has that reference snapshot, just like it would do on a non-spoiler vehicle, once it knows those values, it'll turn those cameras off and strictly rely on track toe for the remainder of the calculations. It won't matter if it's got a spoiler on it or not. Okay? On the 2200 system, it'll prompt you for a spoiler program, provided that it can still see across the back. So you really only have to have one point of reference to calculate all your toe values. You have to have 3 points of reference, but you only have to have one of your end beams operational in order to calculate those. So I have to have both of my track toes, and I have to have either the front or the back, and it will go right on. So from that prompt spoiler program, yes or no on the 2200, if you're going to be wanting to take a look at all your additional measurements, your wheelbase differences, your track differences, your offsets, thrust, all the other values that are obtainable in the additional measurement screen, then you will want to perform that spoiler program. If you're simply going to do an alignment and you're not concerned with the additional measurements, then you can simply answer no. And the 2200 8-sensor machine will disregard whichever two cameras, either the front or the back, and it will transform itself basically into a 6-sensor system. Okay? For this demonstration, we do have the 6, and so we are going to perform the spoiler program for you so you can see how it works. From this screen, I can simply green arrow forward past my target data values. Let me turn my heads on real quick. That'll give you around here to the front anywhere or where it would be. Okay. In my green key, takes me to my indicator screen for my battery charge, or what kind of run-out procedure I want to use. I'm going to go by that. I'm not concerned with run-out on this car. I use a 3-point clamp, so that's not a concern. Tell me to put my steering wheel, my brake pedal depressor in and joust the car to settle it. Now it's looking. My heads are level. It's looking for that toe value so I can calculate the toe. And it's saying that, I don't see any toe values. I must be blocked. So it's automatically taking you to the first step of the spoiler program, which is instructing you on the driver's side. You see on the diagram to the left, that picture has the left front sensor head circled. And it's showing you in the instructions there to lower the boom down on that sensor head. And as I do that, I'll loosen my knob off. I'll lower the boom down, and I'll lower it until that screen pops up showing the flashing center key. Basically what it's doing is it's going to lower this thing down about 10 degrees or so. And normally that's enough to clear a small spoiler or any other obstruction, be it a engine cradle or anything else. So I'll put it down until, get out of the thing here, get it down until I see the flashing center key, and I'll tell the machine that I've got it in position. I'll confirm it by pressing the center key, and then it'll tell me to go to the other side. Now, my circle is around the passenger front head, and I have a scale here. And you may need to zoom in on that if possible. It has a scale telling me to lower this passenger front sensor head until my two arrows line up. This white arrow pointing to the scale, and the red fixed arrow that's next to the red hash marker on the scale. So I'm going to come over here to this passenger side head, slightly loosen off on the lock knob for the stub shaft, and I'm going to lower this sensor head down until I line those arrows up. Now you'll notice that as soon as I get pretty close on these arrows, I got a nice big box that comes up so that I can see a little bit easier when I'm right at the mark. As soon as I get my marks lined up, I have a stop sign come up, and I confirm by, that's right, hitting the center key, gray key on the head. As soon as I do that, the machine's going to see if I'm low enough at this point to where the cameras can see each other and take a snapshot. If it is low enough, it will take you back to the level screen where you can level the heads, which is the case in this one. If I still was obstructed by a really low spoiler, then I would get a picture showing broken beam across the front. And the only thing I could do was go back. It would take me back to my original step, where I would lower the head an additional 10 degrees or so. You won't come back to the top. You're going to go down an additional 10 degrees, lock it, confirm, and then come back over here and repeat the second process of lowering the boom until my arrows line up. And it will keep doing that until you can see under the spoiler, or it's looking under the rack, whichever the case may be, but it's just going to get down there. And that's all there is to the program. We'll go ahead and re-level here. Go ahead and level both sides until you get your green check. And you can see that even though it's completely blocked, it's going to let us advance right on through the program. I get the stop just as I would if it were seen across the front. Doing our track calculations and all that. And then it takes me right to the caster suite. So even though my heads can't see each other at all, I'm just looking front to back. I'll go through my caster suite, and the program will look just like it did, as if it had no spoiler on it. There you go, there's numbers. Prompting for the steering wheel holder. There's our rear adjustment values. There's our front adjustment values. And even though I'm completely blocked right here, I can sit here and adjust my toe all over the place. So real fast, real handy. It's not rocket science, simple to use. And that is the spoiler program.